Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Ezekiel Elliott was called out by Jason Garrett on Monday for his lack of effort on Dak Prescott's 2 interceptions in Sunday's game. The first came in the third quarter when Zeke stood near midfield with his hands on his hips while Chris Harris returned a pick. And the second came in the fourth quarter when Zeke appeared to make no effort chasing down Aqib Talib on a pick six. Yesterday, Jerry Jones defended Zeke.
I think if you look at everybody's reaction to that interception, if you really looked at several Dallas Cowboy players on that interception, you saw what would not, I think, be the case in a closely contested ball game. I think you can point to Zeke, but you really have to look at the general effort to chase that ball down by most of the people that were on the field. Dak now, of course, gave it everything he had to try to contain that interception, but still, you look at it across the board and you'll see you'll need more effort than what you see.
We're joined by FS1 NFL analyst Eric Dickerson. Welcome, Eric. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have a problem with Jerry's comments?
Not at all. I don't. Look, he's going to protect his player. You know it. He's going to protect his player, and I don't blame Jerry. First of all, Jerry's an older man. He's older than Jason Garrett. He understands. When I look at the last play, I mean, what was he supposed to do? Jump up like Mighty Mouse and run down the field? It was impossible.
Yeah,
no,
that's what Shannon
What I asked
Sharpe
you before.
says.
Shannon, have you ever done that? Come on now.
No.
Be honest.
Well, wait a second.
Thanks.
The point is he never blocked anybody to start with. So, right?
Well, no, I don't have a problem. I really don't, because I think that people are piling on Zeke right now. He plays hard, and he played hard in that game. He was having a bad.
Did he play hard on those 2 plays?
No, he did not.
Okay.
No, you know what? I said the one play. The second play, he did his job. He chopped the linebacker coming inside. Now, what was he supposed to do? Push him off, all of a sudden jump up, and then I go run down the field.
So let me ask you a question.
Wait. Didn't you say just the other day that TD got hurt?
He wrecked his career.
Right, messed his career.
Yeah.
I mean, because I hate to say that's not our job, but we do it. We do and we have to. He was not close enough.
It's your job once the quarterback throws a pick. So if you fumble the ball, so let me ask you a question.
Yeah, okay.
If you fumble the ball, I'm not a defensive player, so I shouldn't chase the guy.
Of course you should.
Why?
Wait, hold it. Wait a minute.
I might get hurt.
Hold on.
Okay.
If you're in the area, if he runs by you, you don't stand and just watch him go by. If you're down the field, I mean, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? I mean, I said what's the big deal, but you're gonna run. You're 40 yards behind the guy. I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna run 10 steps.
I play to a standard. They play to the score. And Jerry said it. Jerry said if the game was more contested, he believed he's got better effort. Therein lies the problem.
I still think it's no problem now.
But the ED, the coach spoke. You know, if I can circumvent the coach, just think if you could circumvent the coach and go to the owner to get something that you didn't like that the coach was doing, you're gonna do it.
Who are we talking about here? What owner?
We're talking about Jerry.
Now, who runs that football team?
Jerry.
Right, that's Jerry's football team. Oh, if it's your football team, you can do what you want to do. You can say what you want to say. I'm the owner. I do what I want to do. I mean, I don't think he's circumventing him. I think he's just saying, hey, I feel like, hold up. He feels like that if it would have been he'd been closer to him, it'd have been a better effort. The game would have been closer, it'd have been a better effort.
So you play to a score, huh?
No, I think all of us play to a standard and a score.
No, that's not what you just said.
No, you just said.
You said Jerry said Jerry said it. If the score was closer, he believed he'd have got better effort. So you're playing to the scoreboard. You're not playing to the standard that is set forth.
I'm going to ask you this one more time.
Yes.
Have you ever had an interception and not chased the ball?
No.
Come on, Shan. Come on, now. Come on.
Come on.
How you sound?
The hardest hit I took.
You remember every play?
Every play.
Oh, come on, dog. Come on, now. You know.
I call the game. People send me football cards. I look at the card and I can say I was at this game.
Now you know that because most of the card's gonna have you doing something good. They gonna have you fumbling the ball or driving the ball going through your hands like this.
Oh, they got me one. I dropped the touchdown in South End Zone against the Raiders.
And they got a card of it?
They got a card of it.
Come on.
They got a card of it. But that's nothing here.
Skip, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I'm trying to.
I know. I can tell you. Look, I don't love the Cowboy. I can tell you really hate.
No.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
Yes, you do. He's a Cowboy hater. I mean, and I don't like him either. But you're a Cowboy hater.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I just played to a standard. I just believe that my teammates were I always felt as a leader. Now, Zeke doesn't consider himself a leader, but ED, I always felt my teammates were watching. And when coaches would heap praise and people heap praised on me, I knew that the lights were always on me, so I always had to give my best effort. I didn't always feel good. Did I always get the greatest block? No. Was the effort sometimes less than stellar? Absolutely. But when John threw a pick, I'm trying to go get it. When one of my quarterbacks threw a pick, I'm trying to go get it. Well, I might get hurt here. You know, that's everybody that tackles somebody, the career is not going to end like TD. TD, unfortunately, his career ended.
Terrell Davis,
right. His career ended on that play. But you got to give the effort.
And what was the hardest hit you ever suffered in a pro football game?
Oh, B. Cox caught me.
He caught you under the chin. Well, and what were you doing?
Chasing the interception.
There you go. And that could end your career. Could have.
I cross that bridge when that's down the road. But the thing is, I'm going to Skip. He basically, you got to have one voice. You know this, ED now. We might disagree on a lot of things, but you got to have one voice. And the coach spoke. Jerry, leave it alone.
I'll ask you again. Who owns that football team? We know how Jerry is.
Yeah.
Jerry is.
And you wonder why.
You would think Jerry is the coach of that football team.
Well, Jerry.
But you know what? When you ask players about Jerry Jones,
they love it.
Thank you.
They love
That's
it.
all you have to say. They love their owner. They'll go to battle for him, and he goes to battle for his player. You want an owner like that. No. Everybody wants that.
I don't want an enabler.
So you don't want to. So you would like to play for Jerry Jones? Yes or no?
Yeah. He got good Christian.
Yes or no?
I love
Yes or no?
I love Mr.
Yes
B.
or no?
But I wouldn't go behind Mike Shanahan or Wade Phillips or Dan Reeves back and talk to me, hey, Mr. B.
Answer my question.
No, they ain't doing right.
Answer my question.
What?
Would you like to play for Jerry Jones?
Yeah, Jerry gonna have them pockets fat.
There you go.
That is correct. So, Eric Dickerson, many, many times on national television, I have criticized one Jerry Jones for going too soft on his players, for, as you say, enabling them by patting them on the head and encouraging their destructive off-field behavior. I don't like it. But in this case, I loved that he stood up and spoke out and spoke up for an Ezekiel Elliott who got thrown under bus, got hung out to dry by one, shockingly, Jason Garrett. It's the first time Jason's done anything quite like that.
Good.
And finally, Jerry had to be he's always the good cop. He had to kind of be the bad cop in this situation and step on his head coach. He just had to say, because you have to think of the circumstances, Shannon Sharpe. Again, Peter King, one of the most maybe the most respected voice in NFL media, had said that Ezekiel Elliott absolutely quit in that game. And LaDainian Tomlinson, who just joined you guys in the Hall of Fame, spoke out on NFL Network and said Ezekiel Elliott quit in that game. And Jason Garrett comes right on top of that the next day and says, oh, his effort was not up to our standards. And what was on 2 plays, okay? But what does the world leap to? What conclusion does the world leap to? He's jaking it. He mailed it in.
You can't help what conclusion someone might draw. He made it abundantly clear. That's why he said 2.
And
how many plays? How many plays are in 60? 60 plays?
How about this here?
Just make it
we were playing Cincinnati Bengals in 2001, and Elvis Grbac threw a pick. I had played up to that point 91 plays. You know that's a lot in the DD.
That's a lot of plays.
Played 91. He threw a pick. I tried to chase the guy. I wasn't getting no closer to him, but I was trying.
Did you stop?
No, I kept going. Brandon Stokely got it. Skip. You play to a standard. The score is unimportant.
Wait, the score is always important.
No.
Yes, it is.
I don't worry.
So it's not about winning?
It is.
But the score is important. That shows the score is important.
But the standard at which you get to that score.
But still the score.
Context in this game was extremely critical because nobody showed up for the Dallas Cowboys. There was lack of effort on many parts all over the tape that you could watch. A lot of the defensive players just gave up on this play.
Y'all not very good defensively.
Okay, all right. So the point is, you can't single out and, to me, demonize an Ezekiel Elliott who's already on the hottest seat in the NFL because the commissioner, without credible, convincing evidence, has branded him a domestic abuser. He gave him a 6-game suspension that Zeke is now fighting in court. But now everybody's leaped to the conclusion, and I had to read in USA Today in their power rankings, which dropped the Dallas Cowboys to 15th, that to the dismay of Cowboy fans and Jason Garrett, it appears that Ezekiel is giving more effort in courtrooms than he is between the white lines. Well, that's just a cheap shot, and it's so wrong.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that court case was on his mind? On the field?
I don't know what's on his mind.
But I was probably say, no, he ain't nothing.
No, hey,
I'll say this here much. Let's go around the whole NFL. I'm sure it was multiple interceptions in games.
Yes.
I guarantee you, if you looked around the league, you'll find other guys that stood just like he stood and didn't chase the ball.
Yep.
But hold it. But you're talking about Ezekiel Elliott, you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, you're talking about Jerry Jones, the most popular football team in the United States.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Just because somebody else does it.
I'm not saying that.
That's exactly what you're saying.
What I'm saying is sometimes you single one person out. You single a person out. It'd be multiple people do it, but they want one person gets singled out.
Let me ask you a question. How many times you think people blew up on the sideline and yelled at other players and coaches, but who they single out? T.O. Oh, why was that?
He wasn't the only one.
Oh, he wasn't the only one, was he?
No, he wasn't the only one.
Okay, then.
But they singled him out.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying about Zeke. They singling him out.
But wait a second. Did T.O. ever get ripped and slashed for not giving effort?
Oh, no. T.O. gonna give you that effort.
I know.
Oh, he gonna give you that effort.
I know. I was there.
And two plays, and for 2 plays on Sunday, Zeke didn't give me that effort. I need that effort.
Okay, does Zeke have a reputation for taking plays off or taking practices off or games off?
How do you get a reputation? You got to start somewhere. Oh, and all he need. And how you get a rep?
No, you get a rep by people talking about it. People talking about it. And, all reputations aren't true. Now, you know that. Everybody got a rep is not true.
What
people make up things. You ever heard somebody making up something?
They ain't make up that.
So it's no thing about being false.
Shannon, you're overmatched.
Come on, Shannon. Come on, man. Come on.
I can't believe you skipped Bayless. You are a stickler for discipline and all that kind of stuff, and you want Zeke Elliott to run amok on the field. Jason Garrett, I back Jason. I'm going to call him.
Nobody practices harder or plays harder than Ezekiel Elliott.
Well,
period.
He didn't play hard on those 2 plays. Yeah. I need more.
No mercy. Former Redskins wide receiver Santana Moss called out his former teammate Robert Griffin III earlier this week. Moss claimed RG3 took credit for the firing of Mike Shanahan at the end of the 2013 season. RG3 was benched that year, and Shanahan was then fired and replaced by Jay Gruden. Here's Moss on what happened next.
2014 comes, and you got Jay Gruden comes in, and he don't care. We see that now. He doesn't care. He don't care what he says about you. He doesn't care what he says at you. And he rips RG every chance he gets, every meeting. And we sitting there looking like, yeah, you know what? You were just so happy that Mike and Cowdom is gone. But now you're getting your behind ripped every day because you're not playing the kind of football that we need to play for us to be successful. So, it come back and bite you in your behind because now you see this guy is at home. And to be honest with you, I give it to you raw. I don't know no other way to give it to you. Raw and uncut, I always say that. And sometimes, man, I don't share a lot with the fans and with, you all. But
the behind the scenes
people who know me, they know that I'm too truthful at times. But I was saying to myself that as much as I love you as a person, bro, and as much as I know from how, you came into these doors, that was the dumbest mistake you can ever make in this league because it's one of those brotherhoods.
RG3 fired back on Twitter saying, no subtweeting needed. Santana Moss, I treat you like a brother and I've always had your back. To openly lie about me is a betrayal. Some so desperately want me to fit this negative narrative that has been pushed about me, but I don't fit it, never have, never will. Shannon, what is going on here?
I wish Santana had left this alone. Clearly, Skip, this is on his mind. This has been on his heart. This has been weighing on him for some time.
Yep.
Because we're 3 or 4 years removed from this situation. And for him to voice this so publicly now lets me know this has been on his mind for quite some time. Skip, I doubt RG3 was doing cartwheels about Mike Shanahan getting fired. But I can assure you he didn't seek counseling because he was disappointed either. He's somewhere in the middle. And there's no secret, RG3 voiced it, that, hey, he knows the coach did not want him. Let me give you a little backdrop. Skip, when Mike did not want to move up in the draft, and I think it was March of that year before the draft, the Washington Redskins have been docked $36 million in cap space. 18 one year, 18 the next year. The Cowboys lost 10 because what they had did, they had prorated what they had done. They prorated all the salaries into the uncapped year. What uncapped mean? I thought it meant you didn't have a cap, so you put. But anyway, that's what they did. Mike is trying to tell Daniel Snyder, Dan, if we give up all these picks to select this young man, and then we have no cap money to spend to add depth, what are you? What are we? You can't be a circus with just an elephant and a lion. You got to have some tigers. You got to have some monkeys. You got to have some trapeze artists. So basically, you would have a big top, but you had nothing else to go along with it. Dan, what are we doing here? We can stand pat where we are, and get a very good quarterback, not have to give up anything, and still we can build for the future. So now you give up, you swap places with the Rams, Skip.
Yep.
You give up next year's number 1. You give up a 2. You give up a 3. The next year's number 2. Mike says, Dan, what are we doing here? So that got back to RG3 that Mike didn't want him. That wasn't necessarily the case. Mike didn't want to give up what all they had to give up to get him. So, Skip, Mike goes down to Baylor. He talks to Art Brown. He and Kyle Shanahan. They implement an offense because RG3.
This is after the draft.
This was after the draft. They implement plays. They put a system. Mike don't run no spread offense.
Nope.
Mike is a pure West Coast guy. He implements an offense where RG3 won the Heisman and he's had success in. Mike and Kyle put that offense in so he could have success.
Yep.
He tears his knee. What happened, Skip, is that when he got hurt, he came in and saw how well Kirk Cousins played. Mike didn't want him to return because he knew how injured he was. RG3 forced his way back into the lineup because why? He and Daniel Snyder were very good friends.
Yep.
That rubbed a lot of teammates the wrong way because they saw RG3's wife and Daniel Snyder showing up at the stadium. They had security at the same time. That rubbed a lot of players the wrong way. Ask me how I know. I know everything. Talk to players in the locker room. Didn't have to talk to Mike about this. Skip. Then he gets hurt. They having a let's go back, Skip. Let's go back. After the season, RG3 and his father goes up to Mike Shanahan's office. Robert is not running that system anymore. He wants to be a drop-back quarterback like Peyton Manning. See, RG3, although he had run Rookie of the Year, although he had gotten his team into the playoffs, they still heaped so much praise on Andrew Luck because he was prototypical. He was Tom Brady, he was Peyton Manning, he was Drew Brees, he was all these pure drop-back quarterbacks. But all these quarterbacks had ever done was play in a pro-style system. All RG3 had played in was a spread system. Skip, what we see of the finished product of Ben Roethlisberger didn't happen overnight. It was a maturation process. He didn't go in one day and say, oh, hey, I'm not running this anymore, Bill Cowher. I'm not running this anymore, Brewster. We're running this. This is what we're going to do. But RG3 didn't want to wait. And then he's doing a documentary, he's getting married, he's going to Kentucky Derby, he's doing all these things that's not necessarily going to help him because remember, when you rehab instead of train, rehabbing gets you back to the baseline. So if you're trying to be a pocket passer, how you going to do that with a torn ACL when all you rehabbing? You can't drop back. You can't do anything. So I just wish Santana would have left this one alone because it's really hurtful. Clearly, it's hurtful to him because that's why he brought it back up. But it brings up some scars. And RG3, look, what happened. It hurt Mike. It upset Mike. Mike lost his job. Kyle lost his job because everybody said, oh, well, Kyle Shanahan can't coach. Well, it's funny. He went down there, got Matt Ryan, ran the offense that he wanted to run, and Matt Ryan won the MVP and went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So you don't have to question me about Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan's credentials. Did they handle everything the right way? Absolutely not. But I believe they deserve better than this. I believe RG3 deserves better than this because there's too much time that has passed, Skip, for us to rehash this.
So, like you, I have been extremely close to this story from the start. Maybe too close to it. I loved RG3 coming out of Baylor. He destroyed my Oklahoma Sooners one Saturday night on national TV.
Probably won in the Heisman.
It was the Texas game at Texas that won him, and the only time I criticized Robert before that draft, and I did so on television, was he stood up on the field after the game. They did a quick interview before they left, and he said, I think I just won the Heisman after the Texas game.
Yeah.
And I said, Robert, you can't tell those voters to vote for you.
Right.
Because they'll be a little offended by that, but it didn't seem to matter because he won fairly convincingly. But this story, in general, Robert's big picture story, has turned into the saddest on-field story I have ever closely observed in the National Football League. The saddest.
Yes.
I want everybody to realize Robert Griffin III, who won Rookie of the Year and led his team to a division title in 2012, wasn't that long ago, is out of football. Robert Griffin III resorted just last week to having to post a video of himself making jump shots in some YMCA gym over 5 out-of-shape guys, as if that's to say, look at me now, like that's a good thing. That's a sad thing, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously?
Yes.
I was so embarrassed for him. It has come to that for Robert Griffin III. Now, unlike you, I cannot condemn Santana Moss. Maybe he should have thought twice, but I can't condemn him for what he said because he's dredging it back up to defend his own honor, because people still wonder, what went so wrong after 2012? They won the division. And to Santana's credit, pre-RG3, he had 4,000-yard receiving seasons,
right,
and made 1 Pro Bowl the year before that Robert came. So Santana's trying to defend his own honor here. Right. And again, I know it's probably not worth doing, but I get where he's coming from.
Absolutely.
Because it imploded. It was ugly, and it got ugly fast in 2013, as you well know. And it is very true that Mike, I don't think Mike loved much about Robert's college game because it's not his cup of tea,
no,
right? Okay.
Absolutely not.
And by the way, I have also talked to Mike about this. And yet, to Mike's credit, to Kyle's credit, as you say, after it happened, they really jumped on board.
Absolutely.
They tried hard to make this work. And they didn't do a good job with Robert in 2012. They did an all-time great job to scrap everything that both of them knew, both Mike and Kyle,
right,
and say, let's start over with this kid. Let's make it work. And it took a few games. They got off to a slow start. And then, did they not roll?
But Skip, remember now, opening week, they went to New Orleans. Robert Griffin was NFC Player of the Week. He's the first rookie.
Well, remember that classic one where he throws it and he winds up on his back, sitting up? And
yes.
Then he did something when he sat up. I don't know. Yeah, that. Okay. Whatever. That got it all. He was off to the races there.
Cover Sports Illustrated.
But that year, just to remind people, it was 20 touchdown passes to only 5 interceptions. And he rushed for, of all the quarterbacks, the most yards, 815 yards more than Cam's 741. So this read option that they implemented was crucial to his drop back passing because it set up the ability. It was Tebow-esque in some ways, but Robert's way better than Tim Tebow at running that because Robert has world-class speed.
Absolutely.
World-class. And yet, the mind blower for me is that Robert, as great an athlete as he was, he could not learn to slide. Not mentally learn to slide. He wanted to. He just couldn't figure out how to execute it to the point they brought in some of the Washington Nationals people to teach him to slide, and they couldn't.
Nope.
So what happened on that fateful game against Baltimore? It was December the 9th in Washington, or in D.C. And Robert takes off running, if we could see that play. This is the beginning of the end of Robert Griffin as we knew and loved him. So he takes off to his left. Okay, now you've got your 5 yards. Just get down. No, did he get down? No. And if you see it from the side, you want to talk about whiplash on that leg, Haloti Nada.
That's 345 pounds.
And it's wrecked. But to your point, guess who came in and saved the day that game? Who threw a touchdown pass to get them to overtime? Kirk Cousins. And Mike never had made any bones about it. He loved Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
He loved him more than he loved Robert. So all of a sudden, Kirk gets to start the game against Cleveland, does well, and Robert says, hey, I'm coming back, man. And here he was, back in for the Philadelphia game, and then he played against Dallas at the end of the year. And then he played really well early against Seattle. Remember, they had a home playoff game.
Oh, 14-0.
It's 14-0. But just before the 14 got scored, he tweaked his leg running out of bounds on the side, and then all of a sudden, Mike kept him in. And I've defended Mike for leaving him in the game, but Robert's parents did not defend Mike, which led to the fateful moment in the offseason when Robert and father go in, and I know somebody who's in this meeting, and you were right on point. They dared to bring up and invoke the name of Peyton Manning. We want him to be Peyton Manning.
Yes.
And everybody was horrified, including Dan Snyder, with whom Robert often had dinner with a wife. And
that is correct.
But they were just horrified because they're like, you can't be Peyton Manning.
That's not you.
It's going to be a disaster for everybody, for us and for you.
Right.
Because the run complements the pass.
Right.
And if you could just get down, like on that play there against Baltimore, he got his 5 yards. 5 yards are a good 5 yards.
Right.
You know what happens if you just slide and give yourself up? Haloti Ngata can't do that to you, right?
But here's the thing, Skip. If you're trying to become something in the offseason, don't you have to practice it?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't going to be able to practice dropping back.
Then Robert went over the edge into ego mania. He became Robert, or I should say RGIII. That was it.
Yep.
And the hero worship in Washington just enveloped him, and he got sucked down the hole.
Well, he had all these T-shirts, Skips.
Yeah.
Skip, excuse me. No pressure, no diamonds. All in week 1.
All in week 1 was the big campaign, the documentary they aired on ESPN. And all of a sudden, hey, you can't tell me he didn't gloat some after he and Mike clashed the next year. That, hey, see what happens when you cross me? And guess what? Be careful what you wish for, because Jay Gruden did come in and start just calling out Robert. Yeah, here we go.
And that was the thing, though, Skip, is because if he'd have been patient, Mike would have been willing, Kyle would have been willing to help this young man transition to what he wanted to be. But Peyton Manning didn't become the Peyton Manning he became overnight. It was a process. But Peyton had been in a pro-style offense from high school all the way to the NFL. The same way. They weren't running no wishbone. All of a sudden, Peyton Manning running wishbone, and he goes to Tennessee and he's in a pro set. They were that before they got there. And, Skip, I just think his brand. It was his brand. It was all about his brand. But let me ask you a question. When the last time you seen RG3 in a Subway commercial? When the last time you seen him in an Adidas ad? You see, that brand, what he failed to realize is that the brand, Andrew Luck brand, was his brand of football he was playing.
That's true.
He wanted to grow that without growing this.
Yep. Well, he's got that YMCA jump shot brand going right now.
Man, you saw those guys in that video with them T-shirts.
Did you see him?
Yeah, I saw them. There's no way I would
have post that.
Well, it don't do me any good to black my face. I'm dark enough, but ain't no way I'd have let you see my face. I'd have had something over my face like, who is that? I don't know.
You know what? These darn millennials, they never want to trust the process.
Nope. Everyone wants that instantaneous quick fix, Skip. That's where we are. Just reality. Oh, I can be that. No. There's process. There's steps.
You gotta put in the time. No mercy. Next up, the Cowboys are ranked 15th in the latest USA Today Power Rankings. Dallas opened the season with a win against the Giants in Week 1, but they fell 9 spots after losing in Denver. In that game, Zeke was held to a career-low 8 yards, and Dak threw 2 interceptions. Shannon, is this ranking right?
Yeah, right on the money. Yeah. Right on the money. 15th.
Hate.
Wow, Skip. Well,
go ahead.
Okay, have it this there.
Hate it. Get it out of your system.
Let me put my.
This is your week.
No, this is my analyst hat. Total objectivity.
Yeah, right.
Total objectivity.
Yeah,
Okay, Skip. They opened the season on a Sunday night against their heated rival, the New York Football Giants.
Their nemesis, man.
They beat them 19-3. And you were looking at them like, you know what? The Cowboys might be on to something. Because we thought, a lot of people, I wasn't the only one that thought the Giants were going to win this division, but a lot of people picked the Giants to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So that looks like a very impressive win.
It sure did.
Okay. 19-3 Cowboys win. Dak does what he does, take care of the football. Zeke runs the football. Woo! Everybody whoop-de-doo. Wow. Everybody going out and getting popcorn and Cracker Jacks. Take me out to the ball game. Got to see the Cowboys. They go on the road to Denver. They get shellacked. Now, I gave you the blueprint of what they're going to do. I already knew what they were going to do.
You called it. You said 42-17. I remember.
Last time.
I wrote your score down, 42-17.
In 1998, they were on that very field. Yeah. And the Broncos hung 42 on them. Yeah. But they did get to 23 that day.
History repeated.
Yep. But here's the thing. And I said, now, if you take Zeke away and you force Dak to beat you, if Dak can throw the ball for 350 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns, you walk to the middle of the field and you shake his hand. So they were blown out on the road against a good team. And then we see the Giants on Monday night. And so when people are like, hold on, wait a minute. I know what we thought the Giants were going to be, and we heard Ben McAdoo say they're not the only good team that's 0-2. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later, Skip. So when the rankings, when you look at it, the Giants are not as good as we thought. And maybe we overvalue the Cowboys because they go on the road and they play Trevor Siemian. Because you ain't got no respect for Trevor Siemian. He's still Trevor Siemian, 7th round draft pick. There's no way I'm picking Trevor Siemian over Dak Prescott.
I'm just echoing Shannon Sharpe.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. No. We're echoing. We got the break speed off us. We got the break speed off us. Got the break speed off us. So 15th is a very good spot for them, Skip, because, okay, let me ask you this.
15th is, they're only 32, so that's kind of like middle of the pack, right?
What are we? They play the bad Giants team, they win. They play a good Broncos team, they get blown out. So do we really know 2 games into the season what they really are? Okay, but this is what I love about the rankings, Skip. You get an opportunity on Sunday or Monday night to move up or down. You could, bird in the hand, Skip.
Yep.
Only, what's going on with this bird in my hand, Skip? Only you know. 'Cause you can control it.
Oh, are you a magician now? Okay.
So, Cowboys, if you don't like your ranking, Skip, if you don't like the Cowboys ranking, tell them to do something about it.
Oh, they will. They're about to start.
So what should they be after they go 1 and 2?
They're not going to go 1 and 2. So are you finished?
I'm done.
This is all-time laughable Week 2 overreaction by the Cowboy-hating media. And as Tex Schramm, the great Tex Schramm, the founder of the Dallas Cowboys, as we know and love them, once said, the media wants to see us lose, but they don't want us to go away because everybody loves to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So right now they're going away all the way down to 15. And the truth is, last week they were 5th in this power ranking, and they should have been higher than 5th last week because that was an extremely impressive psychological hurdle that they got over on opening Sunday night at Jerry World. That was their nemesis. That's the team that had their number twice last year, and they didn't just beat them, they demolished them even worse than they got demolished at Denver.
No, Skip.
Yes.
A Giants team in 22 drives, 1 touchdown, 2 field goals, and you're proud of that, and you're saying they should have been higher ranked after that?
I am proud of that. And by the way, they went on to Denver favored. The odds makers favored them to win at Denver. At Denver, where Tom Brady's 3-7? Are you kidding me? So that happened. They did not show up mentally or physically, and they got whipped mentally and physically. And I give you that, and I can't defend it because it happens. It happened to Tom Brady when they went to Kansas City early in the 2014 season. It even happened to Tom Brady on opening Thursday night at home in the 4th quarter when he lost to Kansas City 21-0. It happens. And yet, in the end, I look at now the teams ranked above them just in the NFC. I'm going to talk about the Falcons in just a moment. I'll give you the Falcons over the Cowboys right now, but I won't give you Green Bay over the Cowboys. They're 7th. Tampa Bay, I won't give you over Dallas. I won't give you Seattle over Dallas. With that offense, your Super Bowl winning
With your
pitch,
defense?
Wow.
With your defense?
And then Detroit. Really, you have no respect for Detroit. They're
2-0.
Okay. And Carolina at 13 above the 15th ranked Dallas Cowboys. I'm sorry. That will all start changing quickly because the Cowboys will win. It won't be easy, but they will win at Arizona. Then they will go home and beat the Los Angeles Rams. And I believe they got a real good shot against a Green Bay defense that is no better than it was last year. I think they have a chance at Jerry World to get revenge over Green Bay, just the way they got revenge over the Giants.
Did you see what Trevor Siemian did?
Yeah, so what?
What do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to do?
Okay, so back to my defense. If you want to rank them 15th just because they're decimated at cornerback, I have to give that up to you because I told you my best defensive back was Orlando Scandrick. He missed the game with the broken hand in Denver, and it was a killer. And I told you on air last week, I said, I'm afraid about that. Nolan Carroll, I'm not the biggest fan of, but at least he started 54 games for the Eagles, and he went into concussion protocol late in the 1st quarter after he didn't show up anyway, so it really didn't matter. But he's out probably for the next game.
You see Brandon Carr?
Wow.
Brandon Carr had him 2 picks on Sunday.
Okay, well, you hate him. You call him used car.
Whoa.
Mo Claiborne, Brandon Carr, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
But here's the thing. As bad as they were, and they were awful at times, they kept Jerry Brown on the bench. There's a reason why Jeff Heath could not start over Will Cox and Church. But all of a sudden, he gets out there, and you get mad at him because CJ put the move on, put the okey.
Yeah. So who have I raved about through the preseason? Chidobe Awuzie, and he immediately pulls his hamstring in the 1st quarter, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And that leaves me Jordan Lewis, another rookie who missed the entire preseason with must have been a torn hamstring, missed game 1 with the same hamstring, and gets thrown into the orange fire at Mile High in his first ever NFL game of preseason or regular season.
I tried to prepare you for this, Skip. I said you're asking an awful lot of rookies to come in and contribute heavy minutes.
But even if they're just nickel corners, that they had to be starting corners all of a sudden.
You and Jerry and the Cowboys faithful was thinking that you were going to strike, lightning was going to strike twice. You're going to get the same kind of production out of this rookie class as you got out of Zach and Zeke. And I told you it was not going to happen.
They're
but
hurt.
Your head
They're
hard,
all
Skip.
hurt. Everybody's hurt. Anthony Hitchens had a great camp, and he's out. And they have to throw Jalen Smith in, and he's not ready yet. He's not moving like Jalen Smith moved at Notre Dame before that horrendous injury. Okay, so I'm decimated. Byron Jones, I didn't even know if he was going to play with a pulled groin, and he tried to play, and he didn't look like Byron Jones to me.
What about Sean Lee? Did you see C.J. Anderson running through Sean Lee?
Yeah, I thought he played his guts out like he always does. I did. No. I did. He and Dak, they gave all they had to give.
No, stop doing that, Skip. Yeah. Dak threw 2 picks.
And whose fault were they?
Dak.
You said that they were both Dez's.
Dak.
Oh, yeah, the first one is really Dak's fault.
Whose resume do they go on?
Well, that's unfortunately the truth.
Then. Yeah. So he threw the ball. Yeah. Throw it better. Hit me in the chest.
So you got Atlanta as your best team? Go ahead, say it.
I got Cowboys at 15.
Yeah. Do you think, is Atlanta the best team in football now? Should they be ranked number 1?
No. Kansas City has the most
best team in the NFC is
that the Falcons.
Okay. So right now the Falcons are either 1 or 2 in all these power rankings. And I look at what the Falcons have done so far. Do you realize in game number 1, it wasn't that long ago, it's just like a week ago?
Yeah.
They went to Chicago, and this is the same Bears team who last Sunday went to Tampa Bay and was behind 29-0 and lost 29-7.
Yeah.
So Atlanta goes to Chicago for game number 1. They survived 23-17 after Mike Glennon and company have first and goal at the 5 with 28 seconds left, and Glennon throws 2 balls that should have been caught for touchdowns. Can we see those 2? The first one's to Josh Bellamy, and it was a really nice throw by Mike Glennon. Here it is, hits him right in the hands, and he drops it. That's all. It's game over. Atlanta loses the game. And he drops it.
That wasn't an easy catch.
Okay, it wasn't an easy catch, but he should have made the catch. But this is an easy catch. Can we go to number 2 now? This is Jordan Howard at the goal line, and he dropped it. He's going to back in for the game-winning touchdown, hits him right in the hands, and he drops it. I'm not sure he would have gotten in, but it would have been real close. It hits him right in the hands. This is game over because Matt Ryan's not going to have any time left to do anything. Then there's an incomplete on 3rd down, and he got sacked on 4th down, and they survived. And that's your team that's best in the NFC? Are you kidding me?
Sometimes you have to find ways to win as opposed to finding ways to lose.
Yep.
Now, you have been a Cowboy fan all these years. Yeah. Can you count? Do you have enough fingers and toes to count the ways you guys have lost? Remember Tony Romo bobbled that snap? Remember Tony Romo threw that pick? You remember Tony Romo and Dez dropped that ball? How many different ways, Skip? I can go on and on. I can keep on busting you up.
Yeah, you're really busting me up just the way Atlanta really busted up Green Bay. That defense is no better than it was last year. And on Sunday night.
But what about your defense,
Okay,
Skip?
but we're talking about Atlanta that you said is clearly the best team in the NFC. And I saw the Atlanta Falcons against the Green Bay defense on Sunday night in their new home. They rang up a grand total of 364 yards. That's not impressive because Aaron Rodgers had 367, so he had more yards than Matt Ryan did, total yards.
But
really?
Could Green Bay run the ball like Atlanta could? Did you see what Tevin Coleman? Did you see what Devontae Freeman?
Did you see what Atlanta did last year in the NFC Championship game when they hung 44 on them with 493 total yards, 10 of 13 on 3rd down?
Your team could have been
31st down.
Had your team taking care of business, they could have had the NFC Championship game in their building.
And they would have won that.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they didn't take care of business. Mason
Why?
Crossbar took care of business.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, it was, you know it was. Those are 2 luckiest playoff field goals I've ever seen.
Well, give Vinatieri,
56 and 51.
Give Vinatieri the same amount of credit then.
He kicks him right down
the
the middle.
You don't even believe this.
Yeah.
You think the Seahawks should be ranked? The Seahawks, the Panthers, they beat the 49ers and beat the Bills 9-3.
He doesn't believe this.
The Titans.
So you believe the Giants are that much better than the Browns?
The Ravens beat the Browns and the Bengals.
Yeah.
Bengals haven't scored a touchdown yet this season.
Giants got one. Giants got one.
You're just being a Cowboy hater. You don't even believe that.
My team.
No mercy. Alabama is still number 1 in latest college football rankings. The Crimson Tide had a big win over Florida State to start the season and has yet to commit a turnover in 3 games. Clemson moved up to number 2 in the rankings after winning at Louisville, and Oklahoma is 3rd with their most impressive win coming at Ohio State. We're joined by Fox College football analyst Joel Klatt. Welcome, Joel. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
He's
got something up his sleeve, doesn't he? All right, here we go.
Who is the best team right now, Joel?
Okay, so everything in me, everything that has watched this year, that believes in the most important position on the field, wants to say Oklahoma. okay, because their defense is so improved from a year ago, and that was their biggest stumbling block a year ago. They were 68th in the country a year ago, giving up just over 28 points per game. They're all the way down to giving up just over 12 points per game. They're 13th in the country, and Obo Okoronkwo is one of the best pass rushers that we've got in all of college football. I mean, he's a great player. And they've got the most dynamic quarterback, I think, in our sport in terms of he just gives you a chance to win wherever you're at, whether you're playing in the parking lot or you're playing in the horseshoe, and he's probably going to stamp his flag in the parking lot as well.
Yep.
But I can't say it's Oklahoma because the teams that have been the two best teams for 2 straight years are still up there. Clemson and Alabama right now are battling it out for the top program in college football. They've played in the last 2 national championship games, and each program came into this season with 2 questions, one for each team. Could you replace Deshaun Watson if you're Clemson? And could Jalen Hurts become something better than he was as a true freshman for Alabama, in particular, throwing the ball down the field? And in both cases, guys, they have answered in the affirmative. Kelly Bryant has been sensational and has been sensational. He was great against Louisville, threw for over 300 yards, ran for another 2 scores in that big game on Saturday night. Their defense in Clemson might be the best in the entire country. And Jalen Hurts, he's continuing to develop. This guy is quietly putting himself in the Heisman Trophy conversation. I know you brought him up in that conversation last week when we were sitting here talking. He's more dynamic as a runner. He's throwing the football much better. They're not turning it over. And what I love about it is Brian Dable, their offensive coordinator, he came from the New England Patriots. And what do the New England Patriots do? They take what they have and they feature it. And that's what Alabama has done, even more so than with Lane Kiffin a year ago. So to answer the question, I can't. It's Clemson or Alabama, and they've gone flip-flop back and forth between the other on a week-to-week basis. I wanted to say Oklahoma, but not with Clemson and Alabama doing what they're doing.
Skip, you know I love St. Nick. I roll with St. Nick. But Dabo got a stinker down there in Clemson.
He's got something going.
Skip, he got a smoker down there. And I ain't talking about for no barbecue, but he got a smoker. That defense, 16 sacks in 2 games against ranked opponents.
Yep.
You go on the road and you do what they did to the reigning Heisman Trophy winner in his home. Oh, you got my attention. Now, I was wondering to see, okay, now how do they place Deshaun? I mean, Deshaun was electric. Now, if Kelly Bryant's going to have to throw the ball, because you're not going to beat Nick Saban running the football. Now, Deshaun Watson had success. He threw the ball for over 400 yards in both games. He won 1, lost 1 in the national championship. But right now, Clemson, 16 sacks in 2 games against ranked opponents. Clemson, Alabama, they flip-flop. But right now, if you put it, you say, empty your pockets. Pick a team. Dabo got me.
Really?
Dabo got me. Dabo is the second best coach in college football right now, behind St. Nick.
I'm not. He's starting to threaten.
And he ain't starting to do nothing.
Yeah,
he's second. He's starting to stay in second place.
Yeah. So, Mr. Klatt, help me out. Before the year started, you said that your gut feeling was that the Ohio State University had the most talented team, had the most loaded sort of NFL caliber team, right? And look, I disqualify myself. I can't help myself because I was born and raised a University of Oklahoma fan, so I can't help. You can't choose your parents. You can't choose where you get brought into the world. I got brought into that, and I was steeped in it. Went to my first game when I was 5 years old with my grandfather. I won't tell you what game it was because it was a disaster. But the point is, maybe I'm not very objective, but I watched my team go into the Ohio State University on that Saturday night. I can't remember where you were that night.
We were here in L.A. USC
right,
was playing Stanford.
Stanford. Good game. And I saw my team put on a show. I saw my team dominate a team with a defensive line that Greg Schiano had said is better than some of the NFL defensive lines. That I saw my offensive line just close it down on that defensive front. They had no chance against Baker Mayfield. And he is Johnny Manziel with a much bigger arm, and he doesn't run down the field, but he can escape the way Johnny can escape. And is he not fun to watch operate during a game? You're right. He's going to figure a way to beat you. And the incredible thing is, I have criticized Bob Stoops many times on this show because I always say he could really recruit, but he cannot motivate for big games. So what just happened? Coach Stoops stepped down. Coach Riley, Lincoln Riley, stepped up. What is he, 33,
33 to start the year. I think he just turned 34.
Okay, so he's like a kid
crazy.
still. He's like one of the players, but they really, he inspired that football team in ways Bob Stoops never inspired it to play at The Ohio State. So Bob Stoops might have just done his best recruiting job of his whole tenure there, because this team is loaded with young talent on both sides of the ball. That night, I'm just sitting back saying, wait a minute, Abdul Adams? Wait, who's this kid? Trey Sermon from Atlanta. They're getting these kids. Abdul Adams came from Maryland, and the Sutton kid came from North Carolina, and Atlanta. It's like Stoops went everywhere and got everybody, and the kid from Texas, CeeDee Lamb, he's going to play pro football. I got to tell you, he's an explosive, true freshman receiver, and you and I have talked about Mark Andrews. He's going to make some pro football team very happy.
Sure.
Because don't let Tom Brady get a hold of Mark Andrews, because he would love it.
He's one of the best tight ends in the country.
Yeah.
So that front seven, those skip for Clemson.
No, I got it.
Yeah,
listen,
that's a tough deal. Now, if you're going to say one player, right, that could go even to Clemson and to Alabama and give them a game, be what Deshaun Watson was to Bama, it's probably Baker Mayfield. That's why I'm struggling with this. And I will say this about Bob Stoops, and I understand that you weren't a huge Stoops fan, and I understand that. Bob, when they faced Johnny Manziel in the Cotton Bowl, do you remember this back then?
I
mean,
hey, it was Johnny's biggest game.
I sat with Bob for about an hour the day before the game, and he was worried about Johnny. He was very worried about Johnny. He was worried about his defense. That's a year in which they gave up 300 yards rushing to Tavon Austin, if you remember, from West Virginia. And he pointed down at Trevor Knight at the time, and he was running the scout team. And he said, "Joel, my program's going to change." And I thought to myself, "Bob, what do you mean? What do you mean it's going to change?" He said, "Johnny Manziel's the future of college football. We got to find ours." And guess what? He found him.
Well,
now, it happened to be
Baker
Mayfield.
him.
I understand that, but
Baker just walked in and said, "I want to play."
It was that realization and that shift in direction for a guy that had a lot of success that I think is the key to what Oklahoma is now enjoying, this success that they're now enjoying. And a few years ago, he changed his staff in order to recruit those players that you were talking about that they've recruited on a national level. He brought in the Lincoln Rileys, and he did a lot of things on his staff that changed some things up. So while Riley's going to get a lot of credit, and while he's going to be the forefront and the head coach of this team moving forward, make no mistake about it, the fingerprint on this team from a coaching perspective, even throughout the season, is going to be Bob Stoops.
Okay, but now you have the best of Stoops, and by the way, I still believe he was encouraged to step down. That's just me. But now he's become like the ambassador for the program. He goes to the games and sits in. He was at Ohio State in a box.
And it's great.
Yeah, so you got the best of him. Plus you got Lincoln. What's that?
You ain't got to get no rental car. With your flying private jet. But I'm saying though, Skip, you ain't got to do all that recruiting. You ain't got to do all that coaching. They still gonna pay you them big bucks with no whammies. Where do I sign up?
And you know what? He looks 10 years younger. He does. He looks really good right now.
Why not?
And so does my team. Shannon, my team is loaded. Loaded.
You see them two on the left?
Yeah.
Hey, them two on the left?
Yeah.
But the rankings are all going to change around after this weekend, right, Skip? Because they're playing Vanderbilt, and then
you know what? That's a trap game.
That's
for
a scary
Bama.
game.
That ain't
Trap
no trap.
game.
That ain't no trap.
Trap game.
Vandy's a little bit scary for Bama because they can play great defense.
They can play defense, Shannon. Every time I turn on some pro game, I'm saying, there's another kid from Vanderbilt.
They got 5 guys out of 1,500 in the NFL.
No, they don't. They got like 25 guys. They're everywhere.
no mercy. Yesterday, Kevin Durant admitted to sending tweets that bashed his former coach Billy Donovan and the roster he left in OKC. Durant tweeted from his own account, but also in third person, which led many to speculate that Durant thought he was tweeting from a different account. Let's take a listen to Durant yesterday.
I use Twitter to engage with the fans. I think it's a great way to engage with, basketball fans. But I happen to take it a little too far. And that's what happens sometimes when I get into these basketball debates or, what I really love is just to play basketball. I went a little too far. And I don't regret clapping back at anybody or talking to my fans on Twitter. I do regret using my former coach's name and that former organization that I played for. That was childish. That was idiotic, all those type of words. I regret doing that, and I apologize to him for doing that. But I don't think I'll ever stop engaging with my fans. I think they, really enjoy it, and I think it's a good way to connect us all. But I'll scale back a little bit right now and just focus on playing basketball.
Durant also said, no, there's no different account. That was just me being a total bleeping idiot. I own up to it. I want to move on from it. It was a joke to me at first. I was doing it all summer, and when I went too deep, I went too hard. I haven't slept in 2 days, 2 nights. I haven't ate. It's crazy because I feel so bleeping pissed at myself, and I'm mad that I brought someone into it. Shannon, do you like that Durant admitted this?
Hell no. I'd have took that one to my grave, Joey. I'm never telling that. And he needs to eat, Skip. I mean, you know Kevin Durant. I mean, that dude's so skinny, he can look through a keyhole with both eyes.
But you know what? That's the strongest, skinniest dude you'll ever see.
Skip, I hope Kevin can let this go. Kevin, you won. Kevin, you were right. Why does it hurt him so much? Does he want, you know what, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do what Sam Prest did. What's the owner? Clay? What's the owner of the OKC Thunder?
Oh, Clay Bennett?
Clay Bennett.
Yeah.
I'm Sam Presti, I'm Clay Bennett.
Yeah.
KD, we were wrong. We should have held you in higher regards. We should have put you as 1, and Russell should have been 1A. We were wrong, Kevin. We apologize. Can you accept our apology? Skip, why does it? You're the finals MVP. You averaged 30 every game. You proved the decision that you made was right. Why must you continuously bring OKC back into this mess? You left. Why you left? We knew the reason why you were telling wasn't on the up and up. But why? And then he's going to talk about, well, you know, Billy, why would you bring Billy Donovan into this? Skip, and he said this tweet was childish because Kevin's childish. You see, Skip, when you think there are no repercussions for your actions, you will be as honest as you possibly can. Now, I don't know if he was home, but you remember, Skip, Donald Sterling. When he was in his home, he didn't know he was being recorded.
Yep.
He spoke freely. He spoke honestly. Give you another example, Mel Gibson. When he was going through it, his girlfriend taped him. He was speaking openly and honestly. Kevin Durant got behind that keyboard and he didn't think people knew it was him. He was speaking honest. That's how he felt about it.
Okay, but help me out. I just want to get this part straight, and then you can go on. But how did he not think? What if he didn't have a fake account? What was he doing to go third person in your
own account,
your big account, your verified account?
He thought he was.
What are you talking about?
Skip,
I'm not buying that part of it.
Exactly. He thought he was.
It doesn't add up.
No.
He thought it was anonymous, Skip. So now I can be honest. Oh, I ain't like the coach and this and yada yada.
But remember, it's third person.
Yeah.
He's saying Kevin didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't.
He. Who is he? Oh, me. Skip.
oh, that's right. It's me.
Skip.
What?
Did it hurt? Did it? You know what, Skip? As you sit back and look at this, Kevin Durant was more hurt that they didn't show him the love that they showed Russell than we previously thought. Because I believe that is the center of this. This is not about a basketball. And because he said it was a basketball decision, I want to do what's best for Kevin Durant. When all along, if you didn't want to play for Billy Donovan, say it. Don't hide behind your computer screen. Be upfront. If you want to be totally honest, you know, I hate that I brought my old coach. I don't hate that I said that. I just hate that I brought his name up in this, and now he gets swept up in my mess. Kevin, you're in Golden State. You're about to move to $1 billion you're about to move into a $1 billion building. You're at Silicon Valley because you want to be close, because you really, well, you need to work on your tech game because you like me, because you don't really know what you got going on. You got all these accounts. But Skip.
I think he owns half of this tech company, though.
Skip.
Well, I think he's doing okay, but.
Is he that hurt that they showed Russell that kind of attention?
Yes.
And not him.
Yes.
That he will continuously
Yes.
drag Russell and OKC.
He's that hurt, but you don't need to keep dredging it.
Right. Skip. You're the reigning finals MVP. If you want to debate who's better, me or LeBron, who's better, me or James Harden, who's better, me or Anthony Davis, okay.
Yep.
I can debate that with you all day. But I'm not dragging my former team into this. I've moved on. You got a $300 million shoe deal. Skip, you signed a new contract. You gave $10 million back because you wanted to bring all the players back and you wanted to try to do this thing again. And for you in your off time to bring OKC and Russell back into your mess, KD, let it go, bruh. Let it go.
Okay, so we have that issue of letting that go, which I'm with you on. But then we have a whole bigger issue that you're just going to have to help me with because you fall into the same trap. You like to respond to Joe Nobodies on Twitter.
I do.
You will just see something and say, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. And you'll fire right back at Joe Nobody. You have no idea who he or she might be, right?
No.
You have no idea what their resume is, where they're typing from, who they are. If you could see who they were and know who they are or are not, I'm not sure you would do it. But you see what they type, and Shannon Sharpe, Pro Football Hall of Famer, says, I'm going to stamp that out. I'm going to set him straight.
You know what?
Right?
Katie and I are like this in a lot of ways because when you take the Hall of Fame, you take the Super Bowls away, and I'm not on the show with Skip Bayless, I'm like a lot of those people that responding to. And I'm not so sure that I wouldn't be trying to reach out and try to get responses from celebs also.
Okay, but the more critical they are of the celeb, the more likely that celeb is of firing back. So you keep empowering them, you keep encouraging them to be more and more negative on your timeline because if they see it, they might actually recognize you, right?
Skip, I got no problem with him firing back. The problem that I have is that he's bringing other people into his mix.
Well, okay, but that's a whole nother deal. I got it. You're right. I'm with you on that part.
Yes.
But this is the part I can't come to grips with because if you want to do some kind of a chat session where you make it clear from the start, for the next hour, I'm going to clap back, as Kevin says. I'm going to clap back at all of you. So fire away, and I will fire back.
Right.
At least you're on your toes, so to speak. You're ready to go, and maybe you get yourself in the right mood of, let's not take this too seriously
But
here.
that's fake. That's
Let's
not
just make
authentic.
No, but I mean, you have to calm yourself down. You have to get yourself in the right head to say, okay, I'll make it a little trash talky, but I'm not going to go over the edge here.
Keep it above the belt.
Yeah, and if somebody really hits the wrong button inside me, maybe I need to say, don't hit send on that one.
Or don't answer that question.
Yeah, because don't answer that one because you need to sleep on it. Maybe you can answer it another time, but don't answer it. Don't let your emotions take you right over the edge into hitting send, right?
Correct.
Because most Twitter disasters I have watched happened when somebody is sitting at his or her keyboard firing back. They're responding on the fly to Joe Nobody, somewhere, somebody.
Right.
And they're doing it instantaneously without sitting back just for a second. Like I got my 24-hour rule. When I really get upset about something, I say, I'm going to give it 24 hours. And if I wake up tomorrow and I feel the same way, I'm going to clap back.
Right.
Not on Twitter, but just wherever.
Maybe a topic.
Yeah. And then I'm going to fire back.
Correct.
But that way, my emotions have settled because I'll be the first to admit I'm way too over-emotional. I tell Ernestine all the time, don't push me too far on that. Just let me be for a little while, and I'm going to be okay.
Ernestine gave him a two-piece, and he'll be all right.
Well, she does. She does. Well, she gives me a verbal two-piece. Now, she's the only one who can get away with that, by the way. But she always gets away with it.
Hazel gets away.
Oh, she talks back to me every night. And I just say, you're okay. You know, I do Jerry Jones on her. I just enable. I just pat her on the head. I say, you're okay. You're okay. All that destructive behavior, you can have my Jordans. You can tear them all to pieces. No, she doesn't. She knows that's a golden rule.
Okay.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. A lot of times when emotions are high, logic is low.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
But Skip, just help me understand this. You like to play, couch psychologist. What is it about OKC and what transpired there that he can't let go?
Well, remember, Russ got even with him by winning the MVP and averaging a triple-double, and it was like Russ's year. It seemed like Russ kind of owned the year, but then Kevin, in the bigger picture, owned the NBA Finals.
Right.
So it felt 50-50 to me, at least. I thought Kevin actually won in the end.
He did.
Okay? It really stung him the way they treated him in Oklahoma City, and so he hasn't gotten it out of his craw yet. He saw one person on Twitter say something that pushed the wrong button inside him, and he said, I got to set that guy straight. Well, you can't set him straight. You can't win that one.
Can't save him.
You cannot run it, though, Skip. No man can outrun his past. Because you know what happens? All it does is makes you tired when it catches up with you.
It's more of an identity thing, I think, with Kevin, because OKC is where he began as
Yeah,
a man and began his career, and now he's in a place where he feels like people think he just jumped to as opposed to earned, so he feels like he needs to prove himself. But the problem is you can't save the internet. You can't do it. It's a dark and sunken, horrible place. Just don't try and save it. We've all fallen victim to it, so it's, there's no hypocrisy here, but just let it go.
I mean, Seattle, remember now, Kevin Durant started his career in Seattle. Imagine how they felt when the team left and went to OKC.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back again tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.